CBS Sunday Morning correspondent Conor Knighton spent much of 2016 on the trail. He crossed the country to visit all 59 national parks, beginning with a sunrise at Maine's Acadia National Park. The Park Service celebrated its 100th anniversary this past year. Knighton hiked, boated, and scuba dived to experience what they offer.
A trip to Devil's Hole feels like you've discovered a supervillain's lair. It is in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by this imposing barbed wire fence. It really is crazy how sound travels in the dunes. From here, I can hear every word of the conversation of those people all the way over there. Sitting on the edge of St. John, you can look across and see St. Thomas, and the difference is striking. Today, he's close to the shore. Tomorrow, he could be in the middle of the lake. 50 years ago, what would we have been looking at?
Well, 50 years ago, we would have been under ice right now.
Oh, really? Right here?
Right here.
They're all very unique looking, in a way that it feels like they almost have their own personality. Do you see that when you drive by looking at them?
Well, they're like fingerprints. You generally won't see any two mature trees that look the same.
So those are old shoes that we were looking at on the boat?
Yeah,
those are the heels.
The heels of shoes. We usually find them down there.
I didn't know that the Rio Grande would be like this wide.
Yeah, kind of pequeño.
Yeah, it was,
Not so grande.
yeah.
More puppies. I want all the puppies.
Living in New York, when you walk around New York, you don't think there's lava like way, way below me.
Right.
You know, but here you remember that.
What's it like seeing something like this?
It makes me think our world is so small and the galaxy out there is so big our minds can't even imagine it.
Knighton closed out the year watching the sunset at California's Point Reyes National Seashore, but he begins 2017 with us here in Studio 57.
Good morning.
So,
Happy
Conor,
New Year.
Good morning and Happy New Year. Some people might ask why do this. I would ask why not.
Great question. Yeah, it was the 100th anniversary of the Park Service, which is what inspired this quest. I was going to do a segment on that, and then before I sent that email in maybe November of last year, I was like, or we do a year's worth.
That's good.
And we weren't going to do every park for Sunday morning, but since there are 59 and the guy who goes to all the parks just for my future cocktail party conversations is a more fun guy than the guy who went to almost all of them, I decided I'm going all in. I got rid of my apartment, I put my stuff in storage, and I stayed on the road all year long.
Or mocktails in January.
So in your piece, you featured a quote from naturalist John Muir, who wrote, everybody needs beauty as well as bread, places to play in and pray in, where nature may heal and give strength to body and soul. How do the national parks provide that for Americans?
So, crisscrossing the country, especially in 2016, was a very interesting year to make that journey. And I'm going through red states and blue states. And parks are these places where people can come together. I mean, you never hear anybody say, like, oh, the Grand Canyon's stupid. Like, everyone likes the Grand Canyon. And so they, especially when we're so plugged in everywhere else, to be able to disconnect and have, these are the last places in the country without cell phone service. And the mission of the Park Service is to educate and protect, but also inspire. And boy, do they inspire. And that has been a year of inspiration.
It was still one of the best ways. Your quote is great too, but the Ken Burns documentary,
Yes.
America's Best Idea.
Sure.
And if there's a better way to refer to the national parks, I'm not sure there is. That said, they have dealt with some overcrowding.
Oh yeah.
In recent times, this year, we talk about the huge number of visitors, but it can be challenging if you go in the middle of the summer with your family, at least. So I know that you may have seen some of those issues over the summer and how they're trying to deal with those right now.
Yeah, it's such a good idea. Everybody wants to go.
Yeah.
And it's something crazy, like the top 10% of parks get 60% of the visitors. So there's plenty that are just as deserted as they've always been. Kobuk Valley in Alaska, they don't even track the visitors because it's so remote. Yeah. But yeah, Zion, Yellowstone, Yosemite, the big ones you've heard of. In peak summer, that is very challenging, and the Park Service is trying to figure out how do you deal with that. Do you permit those parks? Do you have timed entry reservations? If you were a business, you'd charge more, but the Park Service isn't going to do that.
Yeah.
The White House put a big spotlight on the National Park Service this year, trying to get people out. What was your favorite? Was there one particular that you'd say everyone's got to go to this?
Oh, so hard to answer. I'm a sucker for that Southwest kind of scenery, so a lot of those Utah parks I really like. But to be able to see the newest land in the world being formed at Hawaii volcanoes, it's just nuts being able to walk next to lava. It was fantastic.
You also had on Twitter, you said the water at Crater Lake really is that blue, but your story from there was one about a thing that floats in the lake. What exactly is the old man of the lake.
The old man of the lake is this little stump, this plucky little stump that's been floating upright for 100 years throughout this lake. He moves miles in a single day. Some people believe he's haunted or has a spirit. Yeah, I haven't seen him all. Good, still looking good, old man. You're not showing your age. And when I called the park, they're like, really? You want to do a story on the old man? But to me, he's like the scientist who we talked to basically admitted to loving some of that mystery, to not knowing how it's still upright. It should have sunk a long time ago, and there's something kind of magical about that, and it's fine to not know.
Something magical about every single one of these parks, and if there's you just can't offer a higher recommendation than whether it's the family or whatever else.
Right.
Just expose the kids at like an early age to the parks. To what the beauty that's out there, and it sort of stays with you. We did a cross-country trip in 1988, and it's something I'll always remember. And you just don't forget it. This trip for you in 2016 is something you're never going to forget.
Oh, it's been the most interesting year of my life, and you really appreciate how diverse the natural beauty in our country is. I've never felt prouder to be an American. Like a week after the lava in Hawaii, I was seeing glaciers in Alaska, the deserts of Joshua Tree, the swamps of Congaree. I mean, it's insane what we have. And I'd done quite a bit of international travel prior to this year, and I didn't see America first, but I'm glad I eventually got around to seeing it because it's fantastic.
So cool.
What a journey.
Great.
Thank you, Conor.
Conor Knighton, fantastic.